Felicitations, Malefactors, and welcome back to some more cave Gameshire. So in the previous video, I built the train station over that way, roughly. And now we're going to go on and begin building a large section of the rail track. So I'm going to meet you guys over on where the train station is, and then we'll continue from there. Alright, so we're over here at the train station. I don't remember if I showed you guys the interior or actually the backside of this. But this is kind of what's going on the backside of the station. I didn't really have this side of the building visible in the reference image I used to make this, so I kind of just, did what I could with, what I guessed the backside would look like, along with like the side portions of the building. Now that is new. I built all this since since the last video. So going in here, we've got our section where you come out from the train platform to leave. You grab your tickets right here. Is what I imagine this to be. It's pretty small. Then we have two spots. We have an observation tower that I forgot to put a door on because, I'm really great at building. Then we have the second floor of the observation tower with some pretty decent windows. You can kind of see out what's going on over there. And then we go over here, and then we can exit onto the train platform. So temporarily, I've got stuff right here for, storage. I do need more minecarts and more torches. But basically, this is the train platform. You've got your departure side right here, and then your arrival side right here. And I kind of did this just for symmetry for the most part. Now, in order to add a small bit of realism here, there is a way to, when you exit on the arrival side, to kind of walk underneath here, so you're not, directly walking over a train line, since it's not exactly very safe. But basically, this is the same kind of mechanism we have at spawn, where we've got a rail booster that launches it, and then a rail booster that, speeds it up there, which is why this area is basically just a big minecart. Now, I can demonstrate what this button does. So when I press the button, the signal will turn on, and then it's going to come over here. It's going to open the door, or close it, I can't remember which. It's going to open the door, the minecart's going to fall, and then it's going to pick up this minecart that I'll be sitting in, and then it's going to speed it along enough. This one's going to catch it, and then it's going to speed it up that way. Now, this one will then reset when it goes around the loop, and then it'll go all the way back up, and then it will be caught there again. So I'm going to sit in here, I'm going to press the button, and we'll demonstrate this. So there it goes, and then this one pushes us. So these are the minecart boosters. This is what gives us all of our speed, and I've placed them at various intervals to allow for continued travel. But this is the way that I have to do this until power rails are added. But yeah, so far out of the entire track, the only thing I've done is up to here, though. And now we're all the way at the end. Alright, cool. So from here, this is where the bridge starts. So if you look on the map plane here that I have, you can see that the bridge was originally supposed to start later on, but I changed it in order to allow for travel on waterways. So basically, there's a small drawbridge section that's right here in this area. So because of that, I'm going to start the bridge ramp right here, and then we're going to, build it. And it's going to be about 700-ish blocks long. So it's not quite as long as the spawn bridge, but it's pretty up there. And I've got all my materials here ready to go. Yeah, so without further ado, I think it's time to begin the build. right, the bridge is done. Yeah, this is honestly probably one of my best creations. I say that every time, but like this is definitely one of the best builds I've ever made here. This is an extremely long bridge. It's almost as long as the spawn bridge itself. And you may have noticed during my time lapse, there's some wolves down there. For one, the colors changed because it is now the 2nd of March at the time of recording. And I basically spent the entire week doing this, doing about a segment per day just because of how long it takes to do each one. So the color shifted, so it's a little greener now, less yellow. Specifically on those trees, the birch trees, and then the grass and the foliage in general just looks less yellow. Still kind of like yellow-green, so like the spring green. But you also may have noticed there were some funny angles that I was doing. And that is because I was actually working on re-implementing the front-facing F5 into the game. When I was talking to my friend Zin, and he noticed that there was the variable within the class to change the third-person view distance. So I wrote a little bit of code, and I bound to F9 a function to essentially zoom the camera really far out. And that is how I was getting these angles, where I was, you know, basically like this. That is how I was able to do that. Now you can see the cloud rendering is a little broken here, along with the, well, hang on, it's not exactly visible, but the sun is somewhere around here, and the illusion of the sun being about 100 blocks away from the player at all times is kind of broken. There, you can see a little bit. You can see how it kind of like renders in like a dome around the player. But yeah, so along with that, I then wrote a few custom options on the video settings that I'm going to eventually move. But I wrote to disable the fog, the camera collision, to make the player invisible, to turn on and off the clouds and the sun and moon. So this is useful for example, I think I had my camera count on that a couple of times. So essentially it just makes the player invisible from your own perspective. But yeah, that's how I was able to get those funny looking angles. I'm going to try and improve it. My current goal at the moment is to try and bind the sky rendering to the camera and not to the player, since they're two separate objects. If I can bind that to the camera, then that'll remove a lot of that weirdness there, and so it'll be a little bit better of a cinematic tool. But I'll have to do some tinkering with that to make it work. But yeah, this is the other side of the bridge over here. So we're roughly where we are on the map is about here, so we're kind of back to where we initially were supposed to be. This bridge was supposed to be a lot shorter, but it ended up being a lot longer, which I'm cool with. Yeah, so we're here now. So currently, my plan right now is to move resources out here. It seems I've forgotten some slabs. I'll have to bring a couple over. There's a lot of sheep over here, too. So currently, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a bunch of materials over here and then move all the rail track stuff over here and start positioning it over here. See, it worked for over there because it was much closer to where I was building. But now if I wanted to get stuff to build more of the rail track, I'd have to go back and forth across this bridge. And while that's cool and all, it's going to take a little bit each time. So from here, we're going to turn north and head that way. You can kind of see the snow off in the distance there. But it's going to require me to remove a lot of snow. And because of that, I'm going to pick it up with shovels. But I also need to light the area up so I can stop mobs from spawning so they don't try and shoot me. Yeah, basically, I'm going to need a lot of torches, and I'm going to need a lot of shovels to pick the snow up. At the same time, I also need more iron because I'm basically... This is all the rails that I have left. Which looks like a lot, but... I mean, I use, like, a lot of rails on this thing. So I'm going to have to get more iron, and I'm running low on diamonds, so I'm going to have to do that as well. But anyways, we can go ahead and go back now. So I did test this. The return side does, in fact, work for the rail booster. It kind of brings it all the way up here. It's probably a little unnecessary, and then that goes all the way back down. And then this one picks us up, and then it moves us across. So the idea with part of the bridge, at least on the opposite side here, is that the two sections of this that are closer together are acting as a drawbridge, which is why I have these suspension cables on the towers here. to kind of allow that action to occur, so to speak, on the drawbridge section, which we'll eventually get there. It might take us a little bit. We have a nice little view of everything. You can see the sun moving. It's really strange, actually, given how far away the camera currently is. We're almost there. Yeah, I gotta say, it looks really good like this. Yeah, that's a little wonky. That's why I normally sometimes will disable the collision so I can get... Yeah. So basically, the idea here is that the ships would be able to pass underneath here, and then they'd be able to pass over this land route through, like, a canal that I could dig, for example. Because looking at the sea map, ships should absolutely be able to pass through there. But yeah, that is the bridge. So I will be back at some point in the future with more rail track building. It'll either be a portion of the bridge or it'll be parts of the rail track. I'm not exactly sure which yet. So anyways, that is all for me for today. So as always, I've been Fig. Thank you for watching, and take care.